More than one thing can be true. Bill Mott and the team can be right to skip the Preakness with sovereignty. The Triple Crown doesn't need to be changed. Mike, tell us more. Big news coming across this week. Sovereignty will not run in that second race out there at Pimlico. And a lot of players, a lot of pundits are saying, well, maybe we should stretch out the spacing of the races. But then it goes against what we've seen for history.
So here's the deal. It might be the right thing to do by sovereignty to skip the Preakness, and that's fine. The Triple Crown's supposed to be hard. But let's not forget we had 2 Triple Crown winners in 3 years and a day apart, right, with American Pharaoh and Justified. And that was after 38 years of no Triple Crown winners. It's supposed to be hard. So if the schedule remains the same, yeah, it might take a while, but there will be another horse someday to do it. So they're not meant to be Triple Crown winners, and there might not meant to be a Triple Crown attempt each and every year. I also think you look at the kind of horse Sovereignty is. He is a horse that they have spaced his races. He's a horse who is a larger, grinding type. I don't know how much better he's going to be on 2 weeks rest, shortening up a 16th of a mile. There's some horses that will be fine on 2 weeks rest, going to that mile and 3/16. We saw it last year with Seize the Grey out of the Pate Mile and into the Preakness. So I just feel like this specific situation, it's fine if Bill Mott wants to skip the Preakness for the Belmont, and that doesn't necessarily mean we have an indictment on the spacing of the races. There are arguments to be made. I think the most compelling argument to be made as far as stretching out the Triple Crown is public interest. If you did the first weekend in May, the first weekend in June, and the first weekend in July and space it out, and you got more participation from race to race, and it captured more interest for the audience, and especially the mainstream audience, not just you and I are watching the Preakness no matter what. They don't got to get us. They got to get you at home and the people at home that only tune in once or twice a year. I get that. But as far as like the well-being of the horse, I think that's an individual thing. You're going to have horses that can make it back in 2 weeks and they're going to run the same race they did or a better race, or perhaps they'd launch into it. You're going to have horses where it takes a bit out of them. I think the Derby took a bit out of Sovereignty. Yes. And I also feel like the fact that they haven't declared journalism from not going to the Preakness means we could see the favorite in the Derby run back in the Preakness. And then what are we talking about? Yeah, big international raider set to take aim at the Preakness there as well. I think you're 100% correct. For a split second, like, well, you know, would have loved to have seen that chase for the Triple Crown glory, but then a split second after that, no, we're not messing with history. We're not moving this race. It is perfect where it is. If it was easy, everyone would be signing up to do it, and we saw more success at the Triple Crown. In terms of the field shaking into this one, it looks to be a very competitive edition. And in case you may have missed it yesterday, we were lucky enough to have Junior Alvarado, winning pilot aboard Sovereignty from this year's Derby, on the show. And I'll tell you what, he had quite the afternoon out there at Yankee Stadium as well, Mike. That's right. He got to throw out the first pitch. Usually when the Derby winning rider is a New York-based rider like Junior is, this is pretty commonplace to have him throw out the first pitch. But Junior, of all the riders that we've seen win the Derby in recent years, I compare this. It's almost like Javier winning it, where it was cathartic. I think Junior, it's cathartic for a different reason. He's an elite rider. He is a top-notch jockey, and he has been for a long time. I feel like he gets overshadowed. Yeah. He's in the same room as the Ortiz brothers, well, Irad now. He's in the same room with, you know, Joel and Johnny and Hall of Famers. People don't realize how good he is. You and I do. Once again, out there, they don't. But I think it was just very apropos that Junior got his day in the sun. He deserves it, and he's been a top-notch rider for a long time. So great to see him enjoying it. It was great seeing him at Jeff Ruby's after the Derby, which is always a scene. I was at a table, right next to my table was Guy Fieri and Taylor Sheridan. Wow. Yeah, they were trying to get my autograph. They couldn't kind of muscle through my security. But Junior was gracious enough to take a picture with them, so that was nice for them. Consolation prize. Seems like one of the great guys in the sport, and we love that crossover. Every winning jockey of every Triple Crown race should be throwing out that first pitch over there at Yankee Stadium or the nearest ballpark. All right, let's take a look at the field. The probables coming up for the Preakness Stakes over there at Pimlico, Old Hilltop, and there's a couple of big hitters in the division, a couple of new shooters on the scene as well, Mike. So the two new shooters that didn't run in the Derby that I think are going to take the most amount of play in the Preakness would be Rodriguez and River Thames. We know River Thames is long on talent. Todd Pletcher's always been high on him. Rodriguez, though, Baffert scratched Rodriguez, and he immediately said, yeah, we're going to the Preakness. I mean, it wasn't, we'll see. I mean, they knew that they were going to have a fit horse for the Preakness. And quite honestly, for Rodriguez, the way that pace set up in the Derby, even without him in there, he probably would have gotten sizzled. By no fault of his ability or talent, just the way he goes, I don't think he's going to get caught up in that pace we saw in the Kentucky Derby and be able to go on with it. So this was a very prudent move for the Baffert camp to send Rodriguez straight to the Preakness. They scratched. He had a minor issue, but it was, if you scratch prior to being vet scratch, you're not on the vet list. You don't have to try and make that comeback, and then you're on the vet list for 2 weeks. You can't get into the Preakness. So they did it preemptively. They know they'll have a perfectly healthy and sound horse for Preakness, and they basically had a perfectly healthy and sound horse. And almost any other era of racing, he would have been fine to race, but we're so cautious and we've overcorrected to the point of erring on the side of safety over and over again that this was a great move. And I think Rodriguez is going to go into the Preakness. I don't know if he's going to be favored, but he probably should be if we're looking at this group.
Yeah, I think he will there. Trainer Bob Baffert certainly has plenty of success out there. An 8-time winner of the Preakness, looking to make it 9. And what a starting 6 this looks to be out there live on site to take you through all of that coverage. We get underway May 14th on Wednesday through Saturday. And in terms of teams, Mike, outside of Europe, that's pretty loaded.
Yeah, they're missing me for sure. But I will say this.
Who's the quarterback?
Preakness?
Todd Farmer.
But this Preakness 150, is the final Preakness run in the old Pimlico grandstand. After this Preakness, they're going to raise the grandstand. They're going to reconstruct. We all know that there's a lot of changes going on in Maryland, and I'm very optimistic about them. The Horsemen's Group now going to be more involved in the day-to-day operations. They're going to run at Laurel while they rebuild Pimlico, and Old Hilltop will return to racing, and it'll be the sole home of racing in Maryland as they'll develop the property where Laurel is. But this is the last time at that old grandstand, and if you've never been there, please, if you're in the area, try to get there because some history is going to be going down. Preakness number 150, even without the Derby winner there, you could have the Derby favorite in there, and it doesn't really matter. The Preakness is the Preakness. I know we always talk about it in context of the Triple Crown, but standalone, one of the most important races in the sport.